Welcome to episode number 12 of Carl Knows People podcast. Today we have somebody who I've known for quite a while. We have a personal history together. We have really no musical history together. She is a musician. She is currently playing out with a band. I'll let her inform all of us about that. Today's guest is Jenn Miler. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I usually start these podcasts off by asking, do you remember the first time we met?
I don't know that I remember the first time we met, but I remember when we started hanging out.
When did you move to Snoqualmie Valley School District?
My junior year of high school, which was technically my second junior year because I had to repeat my junior year.
Okay.
So, what was it? 91.
Okay. So it was high school then.
Yeah.
I definitely knew of you in high school. We didn't hang out in high school though.
Not much. Not until the very end. Not until, because I hung out with Josh Carlson and all those guys. And I was friends with Adam, who we then called Buns.
Yeah.
I know he was on here.
Did
you guys talk about his high school nickname?
We didn't actually.
I knew all those guys, but you were kind of a little bit quieter, sort of, I knew of you, but I didn't interact with you a lot.
Yeah.
But I was all over the place. So.
I recall. Yeah, I was pretty quiet. I was fairly quiet unless I knew you pretty well in high school.
Right. And then
my whole life.
I think it was probably after I graduated, and we really started doing stuff at the Falls City House that we started hanging out.
Yeah. Did you graduate our year?
I graduated 93.
Okay, so did I. Yeah, that was the same year. Okay. So we are classmates. Okay, so now what I do is I'm going to ask you about your life, childhood till present.
Okay.
Feel free to share whatever you want. Don't share what you don't want. Where were you born?
I was born in Kirkland. I was born at Evergreen Hospital. And my parents lived in Redmond at the time. We lived up on Education Hill. And then when I was 2 or 3, we moved down into Redmond and we moved on to the Brick Road. And I lived in a worn down, beat up house on the corner of the Brick Road that I forever for years claimed wasn't mine. Whenever kids would be like, Miller, I know where you live. And I'd be like, no, you don't. That's not where I live. Because it was beaten to shit. Can I cuss on here? I hope so.
Yeah. There's no limits.
All right, cool. Grew up in Redmond and just was really into horses. We had horses. And when I was probably about 4 years old, I was that kid at the grocery store that ran up to everybody and was like, be my friend, and talking to strangers and stuff like that. My mom kind of knew that she had a little ham on her hands.
Yeah.
And so she started me in dance. And that was what kind of kicked off a lifetime of performing and being on stage and kind of being an entertainer. So she started me off in tap and jazz and ballet, or tap and ballet, when I was little. And that just kind of grew. That was a huge part of me growing up. It was kind of a big outlet for me. And so, did dance all growing up. And then, I don't know, dance. I was dancing horses all growing up. And then in junior high, I guess, was when I really discovered music. Actually, I can pinpoint it. I was on a summer vacation with my sister. My sister is, I am significantly younger than all of my siblings. And so my sister was 16 years older than me. And she and her husband took me camping out to Lake Shasta, and his niece came, and her name was Erica. And Erica was this cool punk chick. She had bleach blonde hair and wore big black eyeliner and all this stuff. And I was just this is the coolest human I have ever met in my life. I was 12 years old and I was just oh my God, this girl looks how I feel inside, Yeah. And she taught me how to do black eyeliner and silver lipstick. And that was and she introduced me to Nina Hagen. And Nina Hagen was my introduction to punk rock. And that was it for me. It was that summer was all Nina Hagen and Depeche Mode. And Oh my god, who else? Like Sex Pistols and all that stuff, just kind of like, and, like, the band name Sex Pistols was so, just it was, like, naughty to
Yeah.
my little more. Oh, yeah, I grew up Mormon too, so,
Oh, I did not know that, actually.
yeah, I mean, we were, like, Mormon periphery, like, Jack Mormons, so, like, my parents weren't, like, super devout. The only time that we went to church was when my parents drug us to church, or when I drug my parents to church, mind you, because I was, like, a super social kid, and all the kids in my school were Mormon, so
Yeah.
I wanted to be cool, and I wanted to, like, hang out with people, so, we did all that, but, shit, I forgot where I was.
And
Oh,
just
well, yeah, so, like, getting introduced to, like, all these punk bands and stuff when I was, like, 12, and just feeling like, "Okay, this is, like, these are my people. This is my music. This speaks to my weirdness," and all that stuff, and it kind of finally felt where I had found a spot where I sort of fit in, and so when I started in junior high, like, I was definitely, gravitated toward, like, the skater punks and, like, the kids who dressed in black and stuff, and those were, like, that was who I wanted to hang out with, and my parents were like, "No, those kids are bad," and I'm like, my oldest siblings, like, sold drugs out of the house. I think that, like, me listening to punk rock is
yeah.
gonna be okay."
Was there music in the household when you growing
Mhm.
up? Your parents listened
Yeah.
to? And what kind?
Yeah, my dad played anything with strings, like, my dad could, and he didn't read music, he played by ear, but, like, he could pick up anything with strings and just, like, master it in a half of a second, and my mom was a singer. My mom, was in a cappella choir, and,
Oh,
she was in church choir and stuff like that, so my mom had, like, a really beautiful singing voice. My dad sang a little bit, but not a ton. He was definitely more instrumental, but it was, like, one of, like, I don't have a ton of great memories about my dad. He was, like, not a nice human.
mhm,
There was a lot of yelling and abuse in my house, but, I do like my fond memories of my dad when I was a kid were definitely, like, when he would pick up the banjo or the mandolin. Like, the mandolin was his main instrument, and he would just, like, start strumming on a Sunday and play, and, like, I wanted to learn how to play mandolin. Like, I really like that, like, the double
mhm,
strings and stuff,
yeah.
and, but it hurt my little fingers, and and he was like, "That's okay, you'll get calluses on them," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"I don't want calluses on my fingers, gross." So I never learned to read music or play mandolin or, like, any instrument, and it's, like, one of those things that I really regret because I had, like, a really skilled person who could
Right.
teach me how to play, and I never took advantage of it.
What
Um
kind of music did they listen to?
they were definitely country bluegrass folks.
Oh, okay.
Super, like, old school, like, Hank Williams and, Johnny Cash. My dad, oddly, like, as being like, country driven as he was, and being very anti-hippie, and, like, my dad was, like, a rough, tough construction worker kinda dude,
Yeah.
but he loved John Denver, and, like, my dad would sing John Denver in the car, and, like, we were all big car singers, and I still am to this day, and it has annoyed many people that I have dated. They're like,
Yeah.
"That's okay, you can let that person sing," and I'm like, "No, this is what you do in the car, you sing in the car."
I've been on a few car trips with you. So I know. I know what you're talking about.
Right.
When did you so this will lead in, when did you start discovering so there was 12 when your what was it, your brother-in-law's niece, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So that's when you discovered what the kind of music you like. Do you remember the first album that was bought for you or that you bought with your own money?
The first album that was bought for me, I do believe it was a Christmas present. I got a record player. I think I was probably about, like, 5 or 6. I got a record player, and I got 3 records. I got the Oak Ridge Boys because my parents.
Ooh Baba,
Right.
that one?
Yep.
All right.
Um, and so I got the Oak Ridge Boys, and I got, the Grease soundtrack,
Mhm.
and,
That tracks.
the whatever album that was like a a Disney disco album that had Disco Duck on it.
Okay.
So those were my first 3 albums with my record player. I was, like, 6, I think, but
Yeah.
yeah, like, played endlessly on loop.
What was the first one you bought with your own that you remember?
The first album I bought with my own money. Oh my god, I remember, so when I was a kid, Safeway used to have, like, a record section, and so when my mom would grocery shop, I would just sit in the record section and just
Mhm.
look at records, and, I believe it was Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA was the first one that, like,
Nice.
Because my dad used to come home and he used to keep a bunch of change in his pockets, and, he would just, like, hand me change, and I used to go spend all that money on candy, and then I started realizing, like, if I wanted to buy records, I had to, like, squirrel away some of my change. So I
Yeah.
literally bought it with handfuls of change.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that would have been, was it when it was new, when it came out? Is that when you
Yeah.
got it? So that would have
Yeah,
been
and it was like
84? You would have been
yeah,
like
yeah,
10
yeah.
or 10 or 9, 11. How old, when were you born? What year? 73?
74.
74. Okay. So
74, yeah, so I was
73.
probably about 10 when I bought my first one, yeah.
Yeah. My first one was, do you want to take a guess? Since you haven't heard the podcasts, I was
No,
probably third or fourth grade.
but I wanna say it's probably something like Judas Priest
Oh,
or
you would think.
no, what was it?
Lover boy
Get
working for
out.
the weekend.
Yes.
'Cause that's all I wanted to do is just wait for that weekend to come around.
That's
Um,
when the good times rolled, man.
hell yeah. So the music that you listened to made you gravitate towards the type of friends that you had. What made you move to the valley? What brought that on?
When I was 15, so we lived in that house on the brick road, until I was 15, and then, the people who we rented it, and the people who owned it, decided that they wanted to give it to their daughter for, like, her wedding present or something like that, and so we had to move, and so my brother was living in a mobile home out in Duval, and he was buying a house, and so we basically, like, talked to his landlords and moved out of our house and into this mobile home in Duval, and, yeah, that was, like I was out in Duval, and even when I came to Mount Si, I was living in Duval.
Did you go to Tolt at all?
Yeah, I did.
What you
For a
freshman, sophomore?
year, like a year and a half, yeah, my sophomore and the first half of my first junior year, and which was, like it's so weird, like, Carnation is not that far from Redmond, it's, like, 20 minutes
Hmm.
over the hill, but
Yeah.
it was such a culture shock for me,
Yeah.
like, it was just so I mean, I went from, like, the rich kid school where everybody was like, like, everybody lived at the country club except for me,
Yeah.
and then, and there was, a ton of kids my age, and, there were punks and all that stuff, and then I moved out to the valley, and it was, like, big trucks and cowboy hats and shit kickers, and I was such a square peg in a round hole, and some kid named Shane started calling me Bat Cave, and he was like, "What's up, Bat Cave?" And then that just kinda, like, stuck as my nickname there.
Yeah. And Tolt?
Yeah, told.
Okay.
And then, like, it was, like, halfway through my junior year, and I was just done with school. Like, I had gotten bullied really bad my freshman year, my last year at Evergreen Junior High School. I was just bullied so, so bad for being poor and
Yeah.
being fat, which I wasn't. Like, I literally looked exactly like what I look like now, and, I was just bullied fucking endlessly about being a fat kid, and so I was just, like I was so, I had gone through all of that, and, like, that school year was the reason that I had to repeat my junior year when I changed schools because they were like, "You didn't go to school, like, you don't have enough credits to
Mhm.
to be, a senior at the school." So,
Yeah.
anyway, like, it was, like, halfway through my junior year at Tolton, I was so done, and I just had to I was ready to drop out, and then I told my parents, I was like, "Either you send me to Best," which was the alternative school in Lake Washington School District that I knew of. I didn't know about Two Rivers.
Yeah.
And then somebody told me about Two Rivers, which seemed like the really bad kid school because it was like so tiny and it was like way out in the sticks.
Yeah.
But that was where I ended up going. And it really, like, that school saved me. Like, I was ready to drop out and just like not continue on. And Two Rivers, like, saved me academically.
So when did you go to Two Rivers then?
I started at Two Rivers, I believe, in like second semester of 1990. So yeah, I started at Mount Si in the fall of 91. So it would have been in like the winter of 1991, halfway through my junior year.
So you weren't at Mount Si through senior year? You went to Two
I
Rivers?
was. So I
Or did
started
you do both?
91, so 91, 92 should have been my senior year at Mount Si.
Okay.
And my senior year ended up being 92, 93. So I was at Mount Si for 2 years.
Okay. I'm confused at the two. Where do Two Rivers come in?
Two Rivers came in halfway through my first junior year. So I left Tolt, went to Two Rivers for
Oh,
6
so
months.
you went for Two Rivers, then to Mount Si.
Yeah, so I went to
Okay,
Two Rivers
gotcha.
for, like, a semester on its own, and then, I was just like, "This is really small," and, like, as great as I'm doing here, like, there's no art, there's no theater, there's no, like, electives, there's no sports, and not that I was gonna do any sports, but,
Hmm.
it was just like there was something missing, and I just felt like I needed more, so then I split my time. No, I didn't, that was my senior year. um no, and then I decided to go to Mount Si, the next year, and then, so I did only Mount Si for my 2nd junior year, and then my senior year, I did Mount Si and Two Rivers because I was so short on credits that I had to carry a year and a half worth of credits my senior year in order to graduate.
Oh, interesting. How was the Mount Si experience for you?
It's wild, like, when I was there, I really didn't feel like I necessarily fit in. Like, I definitely found my little crew. Like, I found, like Nikki Schumacher and like Michelle Kiss and Becky Berg. And those were like I definitely found them pretty quickly.
Hmm.
Um and sort of like that was kind of my crew, and I totally lost my train of thought there. Sorry, I haven't taken ADHD meds today, so I'm like,
You were just talking about what the Mount Si experience.
oh, yeah, my Mount Si experience. Yeah, once I kind of, like, found friends, I really school was so secondary for me. It was really a social experience for me because I was a bad student. I was undiagnosed ADHD. I had a really, really hard time studying in school, which was crazy because I tested at, like, college level everything from, like, 5th grade on. Like, I was a bright kid, but, all of my report cards, like every report card from the time I was a little kid was, Jennifer is gifted, but she is easily distracted and she is a distraction to her classmates.
Yeah.
I mean, shocker.
Yeah.
Um, but that just continued through high school, and I just had a really hard time academically, but socially, it felt really good for me. Like, I felt like I had found a crew of people that I really loved, but I still felt like an outcast, and it's really funny because I look back now and, like, I've got one of my yearbooks somewhere. Because I just moved and I found all my yearbooks, and, like, I like to read through them every so often. It was like, I mean, and then I went to, like, the class reunion and stuff, and it's like, I mean, I guess I was, like, more popular than I thought I was. Like, I thought that I was just, like, a freak show, but I
Yeah.
guess I had a lot of friends. I was very socially like, I was, like, a social butterfly. I think I had, like, a foothold in kind of, like, every little circle a little bit.
Yeah. I felt that way too. I had a couple of close friends, but I got along with everybody for the most part. The musician, skater crowd, the jocks I got along with. Just kind of everybody. But I never really had like um a group of friends. I'd have like a friend that we'd hang out separate, then another friend we'd hang out separate, but I didn't have like a big group of friends in high school.
Yeah.
Ryan LeBaron was probably my closest friend in high school. Then Nate, when I started playing with him, then him and I hung out a lot. Um, but yeah, I didn't feel part of any kind of group really. It was just kind of whoever I felt like hanging out with was fine. Um, so you said you were a bad student. I will assume there was no post high school schooling for you.
There I went to BCC for a quarter. Like, as bad of a student as I was, I wanted to be a teacher. Like,
Okay.
because I had had teachers who had, like, really made the difference for me, and I wanted to be that for somebody else. And so, like, I really wanted to be a teacher. Like, I didn't have I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to BCC, and I'm gonna get my associates, and then I can go on to, like, a university. Maybe I'll pick up the ability to study. Maybe I'll pick up the ability to understand math, like it's not fucking Greek." Like, all the things that I thought were so hard in high school, I really thought that I was gonna be able to pick up in college, and, I didn't. I went to, like, a quarter of college and was like, "Yeah, no, I still can't do this shit." And so
Yeah.
I didn't.
So in high school, you did cheerleading. You're a
I
cheerleader.
did my
Cheerleader.
senior
Your
year.
senior year. I remember actually. This is going to sound rude of me, but I remember being surprised how well you moved for being a little overweight
That was why I did it.
to prove that you
Like,
could.
that yeah, like, there was so I remember I was in health class, and it was out at one of the portables at, like, one of the parking lot portables at Mount Si. Like,
Yeah.
I remember this moment, and I don't remember who it was, but I wanna say Tina Pepping, but I'm not sure. Um, and they, were like, "Cheerleading tryouts are coming up, Miller. You should try out." And I was like, "Oh, that's cute. You don't know that I'm a competitive dancer." Like, "You don't know that I have been dancing since the age of 4. Like, I've got more experience in my little finger than you do in your whole body.
Yeah.
Fucking game on. Bet." And so I did, and yeah, then I ended up, like, being the choreographer for our
Oh, really?
cheerleading.
Did you do drama? You did drama,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
I did. I did do drama.
That's one thing I
I
never even considered when I
Yeah, I
was a kid.
loved it. It was
Yeah.
great, and, we had, like, Mrs. Lucking and Joe Galligan, and, like, Joe lives, like, not far from me now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I see him every so often.
Oh, that's funny.
Um, yeah, it's funny, I talked to him not too long ago, and, I think I asked him, I'm just like, "Joe, like, why?" 'Cause, this whole like, being diagnosed with ADHD later in life and kind of that just sort of, like, opening up a whole world of understanding of, like, why I was not great in school, and I remember asking him, or maybe it was Tom Athanasius, I asked one of them, and I was like, "Why didn't you guys test me in school? Like, you could see that I was struggling so hard. Like, why didn't you guys test me?" And they were like, "We did not test girls back then. Like, that was just it was, like, not common for girls to be diagnosed, it was just a young men's thing."
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, but in drama, like, they let me smoke a cigarette on stage. Like, in
Different
the
times.
school. Yeah, it was, like, a
Yeah.
part of my role, like, I was this very in one of the plays, it was called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and my character was a, theater, critic from
Mhm.
New York, and it was the 1940s, and I had, like, a cigarette in, like, a cigarette holder and stuff, and I remember backstage before we would go on, it was, like, um, me and Eric McCarthy and, like, Petra and everybody, and we're, like, backstage, and we're, like, sneaking puffs off the cigarette before I, like, carry it onto stage like it's nothing, and I can only imagine to this, like, people in the audience going like, "Is that a real
Yeah.
cigarette?"
Yeah, is that a prop?
Like,
Huh,
"Nope."
that's funny. So post high school, this is when we started kinda hanging a little bit.
Yeah.
90 probably 94-ish, maybe?
Yeah, like 93,
Um,
94 ish, yeah.
yeah, out at the, John and Kevin and Vicky's house in Fall City.
Yep.
Um, I do remember you were big into the Northwest AIDS Foundation. I remember that.
Mhm.
I did volunteer, I think one night, Liz and I went and helped volunteer. I can't remember what we were doing. Getting ready for the Pride Parade, I think, doing something.
Probably
But
it's probably making safer sex packs or stuffing envelopes or
yeah,
something. We
I
did a
can't
lot of
remember at
that.
all. Um, but most of it was out at Kevin and Vicky's place. Um, well, yeah, until later. That was a fun house.
House, like, shaped so much of who I am.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I'll get weepy about it, like, I seriously, like
Go ahead. It's fine. We can do this.
it's like I think about, 'cause we're all still close with Kevin and Vicky,
Yeah.
and, I still go out there, and it's just, every time I go out to their house, we always talk about, shows at the house and stuff like that, and God, I'm so sorry, this is like, I don't know why I'm getting emotional about this. But they were such a huge influence for me, um, because my home life sucked, like, I my home life was hard,
Yeah.
and, I lived in a pretty abusive home, and so I escaped there a lot, and, just, like, the way that they were with their kids and the way that they were with us, and the way that they just, like this is so embarrassing, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, the way that they just accepted all of us, like, exactly where we were at, and just
Yeah.
brought us in and, like, gave us a safe place to be, Like,
Yeah.
we could have been out doing so much. Like, we could have been out, causing so much trouble, and they really gave us a place to, be music geeks and they really celebrated, like, who we were and what we were into and, like, us going to shows and stuff like that, and, like, you know, them coming to shows with us and
Yeah.
Vicky being the most punk rock fucking mom ever. And, it was just that was a magical time in a magical place. And like, they'll be really humble about it, but I just don't know that they know what they created out there.
Yeah, I had John on here. I told him the same thing. He gave people things to do, things to do in the valley that was severely lacking. I mean, you could only go out to the river parties so much, which I never did. I never partied anywhere. But I was also talking to him about it, which is funny. We are now 50. When they were putting on their show,
What?
when they were putting on the shows, they were 38.
I know,
Kevin and Vicky. 12 years younger than we are now, dealing with all those kids, you
right?
know, especially Kevin, coming home from Alaska. The only thing you want to do is just go relax, but he has a driveway and a basement full of kids, loud music going, and he
And he
let
just rolled with it,
yeah,
like, he just rolled with it, and he just loved us all, and he was just, like, a quiet, like, in the background, like, came out and kinda, like, did security when he needed to or whatever, but
yeah,
really just, like, he just let us
yeah,
do the thing.
yeah. That was a it was a safe house for a lot of people. Every night there were multiple kids just sleeping on the couches. Um, doing whatever. I probably spent the night more there after I started hanging out there than my own place.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
100%.
Probably for different reasons, but so we did that. Then later on, it was 90, must have been 95, 95, 96. We all moved in together, Liz and I, in Carnation.
Yep.
That was an
That
experience.
was that was, like, 96, I think.
Dempsey was like 6 months old and he was born August of 95. So it was
Oh,
95,
yeah.
96. We had
Yeah.
Christmas over there. So it would have been Christmas 95. So that was interesting. It didn't end very well.
No, I don't think that any of us were, like, prepared to live on our own. Like, I
No.
don't think that I mean, I like, it I was glad to be out of my parents' house, but I didn't know how to live on my own. I certainly didn't know how to be a roommate. And it's like
Right.
I think back on like when we lived together there and then like when my other roommates that moved in like after you guys moved out, oh my God, I was a nightmare. I was a nightmare to live with. Like I just had like control issues and all kinds of just like bullshit. And I'm
Yeah.
really sorry about that because
Well,
I
we were all
sucked.
learning. We were young.
I sucked.
I was 20. Liz was 17. You were 20.
Yeah.
That's with a kid in the picture. Um, that's a recipe that's probably not going to end up well for anybody. Um,
Didn't I think I held Lizzie's stuff hostage.
you did.
I d
You took all of our stuff, put it in your room, locked the door, and I, I believe I wrote you a letter saying that I was going to report you and the landlord to the authorities for some bullshit reason that I made up, and you bought it because all of our stuff was out of the room when the next time we came back.
right.
And the day we moved out, you had a party, probably 5 or 6 people in the living room. One of them had my blanket, and he was dead asleep, and I just snatched it right off his body. And he like looked at me, and I said, "That's mine." And we left. And that's probably the last time we talked to each other, or you and Liz. You and Liz were better friends than you and I were. But I think you
Yeah.
guys had a little bit of a falling out after that for a while. I don't know how long that lasted.
Yeah, we've done that a million times.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
gotten into it and then, like, not talked to each other for a couple years, and then, like, we always find our way back to each other.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't even I don't know, it's so wild. It's like I think about, like, who I was back then, and I was just so scrambling. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to have, like, real friendships or, like, real relationships or anything like that, and I mean, I know, like, a lot of people in their 20s just, like, don't, but I look back on that and I feel, like, some shame You know?
Yeah, I can see it, but it's unnecessary. I
I
mean,
know.
it's just you got to take it as learning experience. Which I mean, I don't know what we learned, but I learned I didn't like roommates. That's for sure. and I,
Same.
and I've never had one since.
Oh my
That
god, I've
was
had a couple and they're nightmares. I don't, I won't do it again. I have learned from that and a few other experiences that I cannot live with anybody I'm not, like, actively fucking. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I can't. If we're not romantically involved, I can't live with roommates.
yeah. So that was 90. What did we say? 95,
Like
96.
95, 96, yeah.
Okay. Then were you I'm so scattered about when Liz and I got married. You were in the wedding? At the wedding? Were you
I
not
was
at the wedding?
I was at the wedding, and I think that at one point she had asked me to sing, "I Hope You Had the Time of Your Life,"
Mm-hmm. John was
and
gonna play
then
guitar, I
you ended up
believe.
singing instead.
Yeah. 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 I wrote a song and my brother played guitar and I sang.
Yes,
Chad and I were just talking about that today, and he goes, "Was that at the reception or was that at the actual wedding?" And it was
it was at the
on the
wedding.
stage at the wedding. Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
remember it.
the hottest wedding in recorded history.
Right, that
That
Lizzie
church.
was 2 hours late for because she couldn't fit her dress in the car.
Is that why?
They couldn't
I
they
thought it
could
was her
not get
hair.
no, it was her dress was too big to fit in the car. They were, like, shoving her like she was like, they were vacuum packing her into the car.
That car that I never got to experience, that British taxi that we paid
Yeah, it was,
for,
like,
and
super fancy, and her dress was too big.
since she was so late that he had to leave and he wasn't able to stick around for him to take us over to the reception hall like we had planned. So yeah, that whole day was a blur. The reception was fun.
The reception was fun. I think I ended up making no, I probably shouldn't say that, but, fuck it, it's years later. I think I ended up making out with John at that re at your reception.
Did you?
Yeah, I think we snuck outside.
John was a handful that night. He kept because there was no alcohol. Well, there was. It ended up being alcohol, but
Yeah, I definitely drank that night.
yeah, I did too on accident. Someone handed me, and that's before I knew Kevin went out and got stuff. And so I was handed a drink, and I just thought it was the cider. So I took a drink, and all of a sudden I just felt warm. I was like, "Oh, that's not cider.
Oh, I
That's
was like, "You
champagne."
drank? What?"
Yeah, not on purpose. No, I haven't drank on purpose since I was 17. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never straight edge, but I never partake partook. Is that how you say that? I never
Yeah.
did
How
shit.
were you not straight edge, though? Like, you didn't smoke or anything.
No, I just didn't. I didn't like my viewpoint on straight edge was why does it have to be? I understand they had their own little community, but I was already living that way, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to like X up or like proclaim being straight edge. I just didn't vibe with that whole thing.
Yeah.
They seem kind of exclusive, not very welcoming unless you were. Um,
Not even
so
welcoming if you were and a girl.
girls weren't. Did you
Oh,
try
no,
the
it
straight
was
edge for a while?
oh, yeah, like, I was heavy into that, and it was like but, I wasn't that was a time when I did not feel cool in my life, like, I loved the scene, I loved the music, I loved all of it, but that was a time when I definitely did not feel like a cool kid. And it was I mean, it was definitely harder being a girl in the scene. It was a total fucking sausage fest. It was, it was definitely like an aggressive, testosterone-filled scene, and us girls on the outside, we're just like, "Hey, we're just as fucking tough as you. I'll knock you out in a pit."
Yeah,
But, at the same time but yeah, it was definitely a boys club, and as much as they preached, like feminism and, social justice and all that stuff, but it was for sure, it was dudes.
yeah. So do you remember we played a show played a show in Redmond. I think we've figured out it was called Magic Studios. And you were like one of the only ones in the crowd. You and Liz, probably Christina, and I think the people that ran the place. John, maybe Vicky.
Yeah.
But there's like five people standing in front standing in front of us. Which I wasn't used to then because we usually had built-in crowds because playing at John's place, people would just come out. I didn't experience that again until I was in my last band playing drums. When we'd go to the bar and there'd be like four people there. that was interesting. That was our first like kind of our first experience. No, that's not true because we'd played the New World in Seattle before that. Anyway, so that scene, I remember you trying out for a band with Derek and Eric.
Yeah.
Was that so? Derek was my last episode. He touched on it a little bit. What do you recall about that experience?
I remember like we practiced in the basement a couple of times, and I remember you being there one time, and
Yeah,
it was when I still had a giant crush on you. It was like, I think it was like before, or you and Lizzie were kind of like very on the DL about like being together, and
yeah.
I was still like, I was head over heels crushing on you, and you came downstairs and we were in the basement and we were doing we were playing Just Like Heaven. We were, like,
Yep,
doing, like, a cover or
yep.
whatever of Just Like Heaven, and I remember, I could hear my voice, like, I was so nervous that you were there and that you were watching, and I was like and I remember, like, hitting some sour notes and, like, being flat in some spots and just being like, "Oh my god, he's gonna think that I can't sing. Oh god, like, he's gonna" like, I was so concerned about your opinion and you
That's
thinking that I
funny.
was, like, this phenomenal singer, and then Derek and I recorded, in his old place over off of, like, the Falls City Preston Road, and I remember he and I recorded and
Was it
I
closing in?
remember I remember 2 of the songs that he like, I kind of wrote and then he wrote the music to, and we, like, recorded them in his bedroom and stuff, and it never went anywhere, and I don't remember why. I think that we were just young and, like, whatever, or maybe I had shit to do or thought I had shit to do.
Yeah, I remember because there's an ongoing theme with Derek. There's a song called "Closing In" that he played in like I think every band for about 4 or 5 bands in a row. He played
I
"Closing In,"
remember that song.
and this is why I'm bringing it up because I remember there was a part where he just like kind of whispered on the land or something like that. Like that was part of the song. You go, I'm not whispering that. I'm going to sing it. So that whispering thing sounds stupid. And I remember hearing you guys playing it down in the basement, and you sang the part instead of on the land like he like he did. Yeah, but he wrote that song when we parted ways in our band. We kept that song for a while until Within kind of took it into a different direction. But yeah,
Do you
so
guys have a recording of that song? I would love to hear it again. It's been
Derek
ages. I'm sure
Derek
Derek
has
does somewhere.
Derek has everything he's ever done. So yeah,
Oh,
Derek has it.
wanna say that, like, not too long ago, like, years later, he sent me recordings of, like, the 2 songs that he and I wrote together,
mhm,
and, they were terrible recordings,
yeah.
but it was like, "Oh my god," like, we
Yeah,
like
yeah. He has so many relics of stuff that we did, and I'm glad he's like that because I'm not. I don't keep anything.
yeah.
Um, Nate's the same way. Nate keeps popping up with things like just recently, like last month or maybe even 2 or 3 weeks ago. He sent us like a 14-minute video. I think I was a junior. I was a junior. Nate was a junior. And Toby, when we first started playing together, before it was Salient Groove or anything, doing a health project, and we decided to play a song and record it, and it was just us four playing in Toby's bedroom for 15 minutes, the same song over and over and over again. And it's really embarrassing, but I'm glad he has it because I don't remember it. But then he just every year he comes up with something new, something different that his mom has saved or he's saved over the years. Like I say, I'm glad they do it because I don't. And I was thinking about that the other day. How people say, look at all these people like they show people in the 80s. Look, no phone in sight, just enjoying the moment. Well, I wish we would have had phones back then that recorded everything
Right?
because I want to remember the stuff because there's so much stuff I don't remember. I wish I
So
had.
much.
Yeah, I wish I
Like, I
had.
love it when every so often, like, you or Derek or, like, somebody will post to Facebook that video of you guys playing at Mount Si, and, like, yeah, I remember that I'm like, "Oh my god," like, somebody had a video camera, which was, probably, like, this
Hmm.
big on their shoulder or whatever. So, it wasn't, like, easy or convenient to record things, and we didn't have little camcorders. God, we should have had a camcorder at that basement, though, man. The shit that we
Yeah, there are some
like
videos. There's videos of Integrity playing there.
is
Someone
there?
Yeah, that's floating around the
I
whole
was telling
show.
somebody about that show the other day. I had a patient come into work, and he had X's tattooed on his hands, and
Oh,
he was a young kid. He was, like, maybe, like, 25, and I was like, "What do you know about straight edge?"
right.
And, you know, he was like
Yeah.
and then we started talking about it, and I was like, "Dude," I'm like, "Integrity played The Basement, like, Snapcase." I was, like, giving him, like, a rundown, and
Same
he's like,
show. Snapcase
yeah,
Integrity.
it
Same
was like
show.
Integrity, Snapcase, and was it like Earth Crisis or somebody else was there?
Yeah.
But it was I remember it being like 3 bands that were touring, and it was huge. But, God, if we had just had,
Yeah.
like, just been able to, like, whip out, our phones, and we would have so much. But also in the same vein, like, there's this beautiful innocence to it of, like, a time when everything wasn't, like,
Yeah.
recorded moment for moment and all that stuff, and I just, like but yeah, like, I know that someday I'll get old and my memory will go away and like, I won't have it.
Yeah. I wish we selectively could have just recorded the stuff that we wanted people to know about. There's things we don't want people to know about.
I want
Those are
footage
the
of
fun
Jeremy Enick.
stories just to like tell people about, but not show people.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I wish we had footage of Jeremy Enick back in the van into the house and us making him sign the house and, stuff
I
like
don't
that.
think I know all about that story, but I don't think I was there for
Oh,
that.
that was hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of paying for the damages, just sign it. 'Cause
Yeah, he just signed it.
for some
He's
reason
like
they thought that would, yeah. There's some fun shows there. Um, it's funny because I people send me like flyers and stuff with my band's like stuff on it, and I don't remember some of them. There was a band called. Did you ever watch The Pit? That show with it's on
the
the
hospital one?
yeah.
Yeah, that show's good.
So I played twice with a band called the Way Outs. They had a female singer. One of them was at Mount High. One of them was in the basement, and their drummer played one of the nurses in the pit, which I found out when I did an episode with Danny from the Green. So
What?
I messaged him, and he, he's considering being on the podcast. So yeah, I'll show you. I'll send you the screenshot of who he is. I
Yeah,
kind of
I
remember
love
it was a bit part, but I definitely remember him if I watch it again. Well,
wow.
they're doing a second season. I know that. So that's
Yeah,
the best medical drama I think out there. It was great.
hands down,
Yeah.
really, really good.
Cool concept. Like the hour of the episode is the hour in the ER, and it's like
Yeah,
the whole season is a day. So that was a cool concept. I didn't realize that's what they were doing until about halfway through.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really good though. Dude,
Way
I'm
better than
stoked.
ER.
That's wild that,
Yeah.
yeah, like, I tell people about that stuff all the time. I'm like, "MXPX played in our basement back when they were Magnified Plaid," and I
Yeah.
call it our basement because we basically live there, you know?
Right. Yeah. And it was funny. He was telling me, Danny was also telling me a story. When they were first starting out, one of the members of his band like said, "Hey, I'm cousins with Kurt Cobain," but a lot of people thought they had connections to Kurt Cobain, or they said they did.
Yeah.
And he goes, and sure enough, we got invited to their post wedding, like little get together at his mom's house. And Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love were there, and they wanted us to play, and they said they're so embarrassed to play because they were new, and like Kurt Cobain went down and listened to him for a couple of minutes, then left or whatever, and bobbed his head a little bit. Then he sent me a picture of 3 members of the Green, Danny and Ben and the other guy, their drummer, I believe, standing up, and on the couch is Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain's mom just sitting there on the couch. Then it was so weird. Like 2 days later, on my feed and on Facebook, just a random picture from that same night of them two sitting on the couch, like dressed the same. So I know it was the same night, and it was talking about their little their get together after their wedding and stuff. It's like that's so weird that just popped up, and I just got that picture sent to me by Danny. So just so weird.
World was so small then, like, I mean, musically, I mean, like, Kurt and Courtney were building a house down the street from my parents' house, in Duval,
Oh, really?
and I was driving from my parents' house out to the Fall City house, and I was coming down the hill, and I remember I was like, because I used to do my makeup while I drove,
Yeah,
and I was, like,
like
doing
you do.
mascara or whatever, and I come down to the bottom of Stillwater Hill, and, there's this dude, and, like, I wasn't paying attention, so I had to come to a quick stop at the stop
Uh-huh.
sign, because there was a dude crossing in front of me with a flat of tomatoes and some fucking crazy blonde chick in front of him with a little baby with her little arms flapping. And I look up and I almost ran over Kurt Cobain with a flat of tomatoes in his hand.
So-
Yeah.
oh, that would have been fun.
And I remember just like sitting there going like, and I'm looking at him going, that looks a lot like, and then I look over and there's Courtney running across the street with Francis. And I'm just
Weird.
like, well, this is happening right now. Okay.
Yeah. Now Francis Hawk, which is weird.
Yeah, right?
That's so. Can you imagine being that kid? Like how famous? Who has more famous grandparents than that kid?
Well, and the funny thing is, like, to the like kind of the irony of that, well, not irony at all. I don't know, coincidental. I don't know. So Francis's husband was on one of the first Jones Soda labels. Um, so Tony Hawk's kid, he was on one of the first Jones Soda labels, and it was it was one of the first color photos that they had, and it was him in a little Batman uniform, little costume.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking that label and writing my number on the back of it. And that was how Renee and I got together, because I wrote my number on the back of the Tony Hawk's kid Jones Soda label.
Oh, you and who got together?
Renee, my
Oh, Renee.
ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you? Who worked for Jones Soda?
Me.
You worked for. Okay.
And that was how I got that
connection
job,
between-
was talking about that story with Tony Hawk's Kids label.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Huh. So were you much of a concert goer?
When I was in high school, like before I came to Mount Si, I was like really into like Guns N' Roses and Skid Row and stuff like that. And so like me and my friend Tammy, we went to a lot of concerts. Like that was what we saved up all of our babysitting money and stuff like that, was that we went to concerts. I think my first concert, like my first big stadium concert, was Billy Idol and Faith No More.
Oh, nice.
At the Coliseum. And when Billy Idol was playing, Faith No More put grocery bags on their heads and ran out on stage naked. And they streaked the stage. That was
Nice.
cool. So that was my first big stadium show. But yeah, I saw a lot of concerts, but mostly it was like shows. Like once I was 16 and I had my driver's license, and especially once I started going to Mount Si and we started doing stuff like going to the OK Hotel, and like, I mean,
Never been.
Huh?
Never been. I was not a club show goer at all.
You never went to the OK with us?
No. It was done by the time I started going to shows, like smaller shows.
Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense, because yeah, like as soon as Singles came out, they turned it into fuck Singles, by the way. I'm just going to say that out loud on your podcast. Fuck that movie. Fuck it in its ass. It ruined our music scene.
Do you like the soundtrack at least?
The soundtrack is great. The soundtrack is great. And like the apartment building is like right down the street from me. So I'm constantly seeing tourists around there. And every time I see tourists outside, like taking pictures of it, I'm like, we hate that place. We hate that movie. It made a mockery of our music scene. And it took away one of our last all ages clubs.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
my first show, 1988, was when I first moved over to the Valley. 2 days after I moved. Monsters of Rock, Kingdom Come, open, Metallica second, Dokken third, Scorpions, Van Halen.
They do one the next year, because I think I went to the one the next year. I think they did it like for a few years, and I think I didn't go to the first one, but I went to the second one.
Yeah, I didn't go to the second one.
And like Megadeth was playing or something like that.
No, I didn't go to that one. I went to that was my first one. Then I just did big shows basically until I started going to smaller shows with the Ortons.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever did. Me and my brothers never went to smaller shows. I can't remember the first small show that I was at. I don't know, probably Deftones, I would imagine.
Oh man.
We went to was it Lollapalooza at the Gorge?
When Lizzie was pregnant.
Like 8 months pregnant?
Yeah.
That was Lollapalooza, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was is that the same night that we spent the night there?
Was that the night that we went over in the straight edge van?
Yeah.
That we had the SXE on the back, and everybody kept calling it the sex van, and it was the straight edge van.
Everybody was like wanted to buy the food because we actually came prepared and like we're actually eating like grilling stuff. Yeah.
And I remember Lizzie, like we ended up having to leave because Lizzie got so hot and her feet swelled up so bad that she couldn't put her feet in her shoes anymore. So we ended up having to like take off a little bit early.
Yeah, we took off early. Then we just went home for a second, then took off into Seattle to the Ivers fireworks display the same day.
Well, yeah, because Vicky couldn't miss the fireworks display. That was her
No.
favorite.
Jesus. To be young and have that kind of energy, there's no way I probably couldn't even make it through a festival now.
I
Uh,
know.
but yeah,
Dude, I can barely make it through a 3-band show now. I'm like, by the end
yeah,
of the 3rd band, I'm like, there better not be a 4th because I can't make
yeah.
it.
I haven't been to a show and well, Deftones. I think was the last show. Deftones and Rise Against at Auburn. I went with Vicky Dempsey um, and Ariana and that was the last show I've been to.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, my health, I stopped even trying to go. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Um, I think the one before that was Motley Crue's last show 10 years ago, and they're still playing.
Oh.
Their last tour was 10 years ago, but they're still playing. So
Yeah.
I thought I was going to see the last one, but nope.
I mean, you
None.
probably should have, like, if we're being honest.
Yeah, they need to be done. They need to be way done.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, just because you still can doesn't well, just because you still will doesn't
right.
mean you should,
Yeah.
because you can't.
It's Vince. Vince needs to hang it up yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, so when did so you and Liz reconnected? We're when we lived in Issaquah, you guys were friends again. But I can't remember where we lived because I didn't go to the 10-year reunion because you guys are in one of your squabbles again. And I didn't want to go by myself. And she knew you were going to be there. She was still working at the Salish,
Mhm.
so I can't remember what year would that have been. That would have been
That would have
03.
been 2003 would have been our 10-year.
So we must have been living in Issaquah. Is that right?
Yeah, you guys were living in, like, the Issaquah Highlands.
Yeah, that apartment there. Then we had the apartment in downtown Issaquah, the duplex.
Oh, I think that was maybe
That was after.
during the time when we were not hanging out.
No, you were there.
Was it? Oh, the memory. It is.
Yeah, you were with Renee.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Then
Renee
we
and I got together in 98, I think. 97, 98.
it was like it must have been like 2002 because Jory was like 2 years old and she was born in 2000. So the
Yeah.
Issaquah house 2000 it was like 2002, 2003-ish. Yeah. Then yeah. So when did you start playing? I don't know if you want to get too much into your health stuff that you had the scare. You had some scares. That's up to you if you want to get into it. If not, we can skip
Oh,
over it.
I have 0 secrets. There is no shame in my game. I talk about all that shit all the time.
Okay. So I think that was maybe one of the ways that you two reconnected because you ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And she sent me a picture of you in the hospital bed, but I can't remember when that was. Well, you probably would.
That was I have a tattoo of it. That was January 11th, 2010. I went into the hospital. And a couple of months before that, she had told me, it was after the Undertow reunion,
Mhm.
and I called her, and evidently I had been on some of my worst behavior that night. And I remember the beginning of the evening. I do not remember the end of the evening. And I called Lizzie the next day, and I remember saying, because I woke up and my pants were like halfway down, and I had one shoe, and I had no idea what had happened.
Was that the one at
And
Numos? That show?
no, that was the one. It was down at El Corazon.
Oh, Crozone. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was like in October of 2009, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was like their last, well, it was their last show,
Right.
second last show. And I called her the next morning, and she answered the phone, and she did not sound happy with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I, trying to make light of the situation, was like, Lizzie, why, like, why is there bark in my pants, and why do I only have one shoe? And she broke down, and I tell this story at rehabs all the time. And I'll cry. I do every time.
Yeah.
And I remember her saying, Miller, it's not funny anymore. Like, Miller, when is enough enough? Like, it is too hard to be your friend right now. And she's like, I can't be your friend right now. Like, I have to step away. If you're not willing to get some help, I can't be your friend right now.
Yeah.
And I remember, at the time being pretty upset about it. But all, thinking like, oh, we've been through this a million times, like we'll find each other again, like, oh, whatever. And then I think I tried to call her, like, a month later, and she didn't answer my call, and she did not want anything to do with me at all, and
Yeah.
I totally understood that, and then when I ended up in the hospital and I don't remember how she found out, but, yeah, she came to the hospital and she was there every day. She did not leave me.
Did I tell you the name of this podcast is the Make Jen Cry podcast? Did I tell you that?
I mean, it's not hard to do, but, like, honestly, it's like I think back on, like, all the stuff that, like, we like, you and I, our lives and, sort of, like, in periphery of that have, like, been in touch for so long,
Yeah.
and, like, a lot of this is, it's stuff that, like, changed me and shaped me and, like, altered just, like, the course of my life.
So, did you get married? Were you married then, or was it after that?
No, that was
No, it was
after my
that. It was
first
after.
divorce. Yeah, that was 5 years after my first divorce.
Who were you married to?
I was married to Matt Cicerella.
I don't remember that. We must not have been in contact of any way at
No,
that time.
I kind of cut away from everybody during that, like, Matt wasn't I stepped out of the music scene, I stepped out of everything because Matt was just, like, not into that, like, I changed a lot when he and I were together, I lost, like, a lot of myself because I was just so, kind of stunned, like, I had gone through, I'd had weight loss surgery at that point, and I
Hmm.
had lost, a bunch of weight, and I just, like I was trying to find myself, and I had never in my life been with anybody who, like, I found, so attractive, and so, like, when he liked me, I just did anything I could to, be the person that he liked. And so I dropped out of music, I dropped out of everything. Like, I lost a lot of friends during that, and, I mean, we were only together for 2 years, but it was, like, I lived a different life during that time that had, like, nothing to do with, like, anything I'd ever done previously.
Yeah. So I remember. I want to jump forward. I remember seeing you at for the 20-year reunion. You were with, I think, your future second husband, and
Yes,
at
Mike.
then, yeah. And I remember seeing you drinking, and I didn't want to be. I'm tattletelling, but I think I told Liz you were drinking.
Yeah,
And it kind of surprised me that you were. I don't know how much you drank. I just saw you had a beer in your hand. It was I think the second night.
yeah.
Did you go the first night or no? Just second.
No, not the first night, but the second night when we were at the brewery,
Yeah.
yeah, I did, and I was on I was on what would have turned out to be, like, a 3-year relapse basically, because my boyfriend and I had broken up, and then Mike and I got together, pretty shortly after that, and I really downplayed my drinking, to
Hmm.
him, like, really, and I was really trying to, like, keep it under control, and so he and I had, like, an agreement that I could, like, I could get a little drunk once in a while, but that just led me to, instead of drinking all the time, when I drank like a fucking maniac,
Yeah.
and, I was like a super binge drinker. And that night, I remember at our class reunion being like so careful. And like I was drinking, and I knew that people knew that I had had years sober. And I remember like a couple people being like, I thought you weren't. And I'm like, oh, yeah, and because at the time, um, when I went on that relapse, it was after I had read that people who had had gastric bypass surgery, because our bodies then processed alcohol differently, that was something that could lead to alcohol dependence. And so I thought that I had, because I hadn't been a big drinker prior to, my first divorce and when I went balls to the wall. And so I just was like, well, that's obviously what happened is I had this operation and it
Right.
altered my body. Um, and so I was like, oh yeah, like, as it turns out, I can drink a little bit here and there. Lies, lies. Just my pants were so on fire and I was in so much denial um
I
about
remember a slight eye contact with you, and I could tell you weren't comfortable with me seeing you because
yeah.
you probably knew it'd get back to who you
Oh,
didn't
I
want to get back
knew.
to.
Yeah,
'Cause
because I was
I don't think
definitely
we
not
spoke.
telling certain people.
Yeah. I don't think we spoke at that reunion that I remember.
We did. I remember coming up and seeing you in the you were kind of, like, in the back, and but it was brief. Like, I came ba you know, I was like I remember looking around going like, "I know Carl's here. Where's Carl?"
Yeah.
And then I went and I found you on, like, a different patio, but we didn't talk long, and I think I had a beer in my hand, and I think that I was probably pretty uncomfortable with that and just, like,
I think
didn't wanna
I was
answer any
probably uncomfortable
questions.
with it because I knew what had happened. I think I was a little uncomfortable. Not that I was, wasn't your babysitter or anything, but
Oh, yeah, no, you would not have been the first person to mention it that night. It was definitely
yeah,
mentioned a few times.
yeah. Um, so what led you into this music thing of you singing seems recent.
Yeah.
What? Wait, listen, wait. So you ended up marrying Michael. Let's go back a little bit. We ended up
Oh,
marrying
sure.
Michael.
Yep.
Um, you kind of have a similar post marriage relationship with him as Liz and I think.
Yeah.
Still very friendly with each other. Well, Liz and I have kids. I don't know if we. I'll be honest. If we didn't have kids, I don't know if we'd still be like close.
Yeah.
I think the kids kind of held us together for a bit, and now that they're adults, 30 and 25, by the way. Jesus.
Crazy.
Dempsey's. I don't know if we were talking when I moved over here. Dempsey's the same age as I was when I moved over here. Now I've been here 20 years.
It's so wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nuts.
when Lizzie invited me out to his birthday at the house and I was like, I had to do something, but I was like, I cannot believe he's 30.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's not right.
He's not right.
It's not right at all. And Jory's 25. They'll be over here in a couple of weeks because Renee's doing dress shopping. Jory's in the wedding party, so she wants to be a part of that. So she'll be over here. I don't get to see her nearly enough. She
I
loves
don't either.
Seattle.
She literally lives blocks away from me and I never see her like very rarely. Like I think the last time I ran her into her and is it Viv?
Yeah,
Yeah, or I ran into them and Viv at Trader Joe's.
yeah.
And but yeah, like they are literally maybe like 6 blocks from me. And we keep saying like, "Let's get together for breakfast," and then we never do. But yeah, Jory is my baby. Like I always call them my baby because I got to cut their cord.
Yeah.
'Cause you were busy saving Liz's life while she was bleeding out.
Um, I was busy. No, I was busy crying in the other room because the paramedics came in and shoot everybody out of there, and I thought she was dead or gonna die. So
That was a nuts day.
that was not fun. Other than that, it was very calm because Jory didn't cry until my brother held her, and he had a cold. His coat was cold. I think that's what made her cry.
Oh, yeah.
But that was nice and quick. We were home in a couple hours. That was nice. A little
I
different
just
than
remember, like,
Dempsey.
being up to my arms in, like, bloody water.
Fun. Yeah.
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 That I was like, "This is best friendship." Like,
Yeah, tub births are nice. I just remember Liz when she was starting to give birth. She just looks down in the water and she goes, "Oh, fish food," because all that stuff was floating in the water. It's like so gross.
that's such a Liz thing to say
I
too
know.
in that moment. Like,
Yeah. Um. So how long were you and Michael married?
well, we were actively married for 5 years.
Yeah.
We're still married.
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
Man, it is
we
such a parallel with Liz and I because we didn't get divorced till like 5 years after I moved over here. I think
yeah, I don't
she was still married to me when she got her wedding ceremony with Chris. We were still technically married. Yeah,
I sang at that one.
did you?
I did, and then got really drunk and had to take Kevin and Vicky's room at the treehouse place. Shocking.
Yeah,
Uh,
man, all these revelations.
yeah, Mike and we got married in May of 2014, and, we split in April of 2019,
Hmm.
while we were living in Illinois, and, yeah, it was right before the pandemic, and then, like, I relapsed again and went back to rehab and all that stuff, but, yeah, we went through a thing after we split up. Like we split amicably and then he got real mad at me about justifiably.
Yeah,
And I relapsed and then he got even madder at me and like we didn't talk for almost a year until the world shit the bed and then he called me up at it like we had only been speaking on like very official business, like spousal support,
yeah.
that's it.
Hmm.
Um And then, yeah, he sent me a text and was like, "Hey, do you wanna get together and walk the dogs?" And I said, "Yeah." And so we got together and we walked the dogs, and then we went pandemic shopping and bought, like, hoarding toilet paper and shit.
Yeah.
And he kind of became my bubble, and it really gave us, an opportunity to kinda hash out why we had split, really why we had split, and get, like, really corners of the basement honest about, like, what had really happened,
Yeah.
and it saved our relationship in a way, like, we knew that we weren't healthy married. We knew that, like, we weren't ever gonna be, like, an actively married couple again, but we didn't wanna not be in each other's lives, and we just became really good friends, and we've stayed that way, and we're still married because, like, there's really no reason for us to get divorced, like,
Yeah.
like, we don't own any property, we don't even anymore, we did, but, like, we don't have any, like, financial ties, but, like, legally, I mean, I trust him to make medical decisions for me if I'm ever incapacitated, like, we take care of each other, and we still love each other, we're just, like, best friends.
Has he not moved on, seen somebody else, anything like that since?
Nope, he dated one girl for a little while, but Mike's a loner.
Yeah.
Like, before me, he was single for, like, 9 years, and, like, we've talked about it, and I'm like, "Dude, I want you to be happy, and I want you to, like, have joy and love in your life," and he's like, "I mean, I do." He's like, "I've got friends." He's like, if I wanna date a girl, I can, but he's like, "I just don't feel like it," and I sometimes wonder if I broke him, and I really hope I didn't, but,
Yeah. Yeah. It's possible. I was broken. I got broke for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to this new music venture. What brought that on? I knew you sang. I was surprised that you were. How long has this been going on? It seems like 2 years, maybe. Has it been longer?
3 now. So I've been with Small Yards for almost 2 years now. When I got back to Seattle in August of 2021, so I've been back for 4 years now. When I got back to Seattle, I jumped full tilt boogie back into the music scene and, just was at shows all the time, as
Hmm.
much as I could. I think that that's common. I think well, the pandemic, and I've noticed this, is that, like, before the pandemic, when I would go to shows, I felt like everyone's mom. Like, I always felt like the oldest person in the room, and I feel like the pandemic really lit the fire under Gen X's ass, and a lot of people came back out after,
Yeah.
like, we started having shows again. I noticed, like, so many more people my age at shows, and out of the blue, probably, like, I don't know, probably, like, 6 months, maybe less than a year after I got home, I got a phone call from a guy who I'd kind of, like, met. We'd been in the same room a bagajillion times because 'cause he's been in the scene just as long as I have, but we just never knew each other, and he
Hmm.
reached out to me, and he was like, "Hey, a little bird told me that you sing," and I was like, "I do? What are you looking for?" I was like, "My background is really in, musical theater and, well, a whole lot of karaoke,
Yeah.
but, like, and I really haven't sung publicly since I got sober, like, I feel like I've kinda lost my stage moxie, and I get really bad stage fright." And he was like, "Okay." He's like, "Here's the deal.
We totally
We"
glossed over your burlesque days too.
Oh,
Anyway, go on.
I did I did do that as well,
Yeah.
uh, for years, shook my titties on stage, um but yeah, so he was like, "Hey," he's like, my band," and, his name's Zach Hoppenrath, he's in a band called the Zach Static Sect, and they've been around Seattle for a long time, and he was like, "We were down at Georgetown Records, and we found these old 1960s girl group records on Etiquette Records, and, like, we love these songs, we really wanna give them more life, like, it's stuff that, like, came out in the '60s, and nobody's really either ever heard it or hasn't heard it in a bajillion years, and
Yeah.
we need somebody who can belt and growl." And I was like, "Well, I can do those things." And so I went down and I rehearsed with them, and we just kind of went for it and decided to do it. And I played with them on that project for like a year or so, and like, we recorded, and we did a bunch of shows, and then after we were kinda done with it, like, we'd kinda done what we were gonna do with it, and I was looking to start my own project, and Zach and I kinda sat down, and he was like, "Well, this is kind of, like, done its thing, but," he's like, "If you wanna start your own thing," he's like, "Jenn Miler, if you lead, I will follow." And so we were kind of gonna do that, and then I went on a Tinder date with a dude, and his name's Ron. And we met on Tinder, and one of his Tinder photos was his band, the Swaggerlies. And I had seen the Swaggerlies. I was like, "Hey, I know your band." And we went out a couple of times, and it just like it wasn't like a love connection, but it was like, we know the same people, we're in the same community,
Yeah.
and we'll see you around. No big deal. And then a couple months later, he called me and was like, "Listen, I'm in this new band and we're going to record a couple of songs, but we really want to incorporate some harmonies. Do you want to come and maybe like check these songs out and see if you want to like record some harmonies with us?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And I went and I rehearsed with them for like a month, and then we went in December of, where are we at? 2025. So I guess it was like December of 2020. Yeah, December of 22, I think we went in, maybe it was 23. I don't know. Years are hard. And we went in and we recorded two songs. We recorded Weekdays and we recorded Call of the Wild, and I did harmonies on both of them. And then after we recorded, they kind of like they were like, "Hey, Jet, so like and they kind of like shuffled their feet like they were asking me out for prom.
Hmm.
And they were like, "Do you like want to join the band for like realsies? Like really, really?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes, hard
Nice.
yes," 'cause I
Yeah.
I loved working with them, I loved rehearsing with them, they're just, like, really fun guys, and so, and that was where it all kicked off, and Ben is our drummer, Ben Muha is our drummer, and he is an absolute songwriting machine, and so he just started, like, pumping out songs that were built for 2 singers, and, like, we do a lot of harmonies and switch leads, and, we recently played a show called Females to the Front where we did a couple of we did a couple of covers, and then we did a couple of the more me focus songs. But yeah, we're now starting to write stuff where like there's more of me on leads, but it's definitely like switch leads. We take turns.
Yeah.
And I love what we're doing. I love working with these guys. I'm so fucking lucky that like I get to work with these musicians who are incredibly talented, and just really fun to work with. There's no drama. We've been, we've been doing this. We've recorded a few times now, and we've done a bunch of shit together, and there's no drama, there's no infighting. Like anytime anyone has anything to like critique, it's like, "Hey, respectfully." Like everything's like so respectful. I know people
Yeah.
in bands who like literally like knock down, drag out, fight with their bandmates, and I'm just like, I am so lucky. The dudes that I work with are amazing.
What style would you say you are?
Um, for
If
the
you could
longest time,
pigeonhole
I
it.
had a really hard time pinpointing it. Um, So, it's kind of like it's like retro garage power pop with, like, a '60s influence. There's a little bit of psych in there. Um, I hear a lot of, like, early Elvis Costello, Kinks, The Squeeze. I hear a little bit of Clash in some of our songs. And that's probably we get, because of our harmonies, people will come up to us after shows and say that we sound like X.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there's like a lot it's got like that kind of like retro kick with a lot of harmony. And then we've recently done a couple of like sort of almost like punk rock spaghetti westernish type songs. And then like we were just working this week on a new ballad that is very like Back to the Future prom scene slow dancey.
Right. Yeah.
Um so yeah, it's got definitely a retro kick to it, but we like to say that we're just punk enough that we're like punk adjacent.
Right.
So
Is
yeah,
everybody around your age? Is it similar ages?
similar ages. So Ben and Wes Isbell, our bass player, they're mid 40s. I think they're both like 45. And then Ron is a couple years older than me. I think he's like 55 or 56, and I am 51 now. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you're still out doing it. My brother's still out doing it. His band's still making some noise out there. It's
Where's he
kind of
based out of?
He's in Wenatchee now.
Mm.
So he actually has a show this weekend. It's going to be a pretty big show. I know you've probably heard of him. I'm going to see if I can. Renee just walked in. I'm going to see if I can. They're a cover band, and they do they like cover like heavier like metal type Rage Against the Machine songs. Brass Against is what they're called. Yeah.
Ass?
Brass Against. They have
Is
a
there
horn. They have
brass
a
in their
horn. Oh
band?
yeah, there's horn section. It's a horn section.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall a story. It was like 2 years ago. A fan got up on stage with this band, like, and the female, this is a female singer, black woman singing. He got up on stage. She made him lay down, and she pissed all over his face, like on stage.
Get out of town.
Yeah, look it up. You'll
How
see it.
very Gigi Allen.
Oh yeah, and she got a lot of flack from it. I don't know if she's still the singer, but I guess they have a lot of revolving members all the time. But yeah, they asked Chad's band to open for him. They heard 3 different bands, and they chose Chad's band to open. So it's
Wow.
pretty cool. It's at the not the biggest venue in Wenatchee because the T-Mobile Center is, but it's the Numerica Center. So
What?
that's next Saturday. So that should be fun for him.
Send me a link to Chad's band.
Okay. They're called the Timely Tragedy is what they're called. Chad plays guitar for him.
Sweet.
So, and does some backup vocals. But yeah, it's cool that we still got some people. John, up until recently, was still playing. Um he bowed out of that band.
Yeah, he reached out to me at one point and wanted to do a song together. He wanted to do Sugar High from the Empire Records soundtrack, the one that Coyote, What's His Bucket, and Renee Zellweger do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we were gonna record it together, and then we just like never got around to it.
Yeah.
But hey
Him and
John,
I
if you're listening, I still want to do that. Let's do it.
yeah. Him and I have talked about like long distance recording for forever, but I always drag my feet on it. I'm not very technically sound on a lot of stuff. You would think I would be, but I'm not.
I was just recording like right before this. We were recording our Christmas song. We were re-recording our vocals on our Christmas song. So I've got recording equipment
Yeah.
at my disposal, just like in my band space. But
So I got all new equipment during the pandemic. I got new recording equipment or a new recording software, got new mics, no, I didn't get a new guitar, new audio interface, all this new stuff. And I thought I'd just be able to pick up and just start doing it. I looked at it was like totally different program. I mean, it was the same maker as Cubase, but I had zero idea on how to lay any tracks down. So when Renee moved in, she needed room, and we just kind of put stuff down in the basement. And I just recently brought it up because I started doing this podcast, but I'm gonna start trying to record again. There's free courses out there with this stuff. You can learn how to do it again. I'd always frustrate Derek because me and him throughout the years have sent songs back and forth, and I never put mine on a click track. It's never on a grid. He has to try to line things up, and it's really frustrating for him. I use my recording equipment, or I used to basically like a 4-track, old school 4-track. So, hey, bag tour.
yeah, it's I love how many of us are still doing this and like even just like still into discovering new music and going out and supporting new music and musicians and stuff like that. And like that's a thing that I whenever I say the word musicians and I'm like other musicians,
Yeah.
that's something that I super struggled with for a long time, was calling myself a musician, because I just
Mm-hmm.
like I'm a dancer. I'm a theater kid,
Right.
like, and and I always like held it up to a standard of like, well, I don't play an instrument and I don't read music. Um, but it's been, yeah, calling myself a musician was something that took some time, but
Yeah.
like, God, yeah, I mean, I'm in a whole band, and I play live and I record things, and I sing, and I had to like really rationalize with myself, like, no, dude, you're a fucking musician.
Yeah. I've heard there's 2 type of people. I think you're probably one more than the other. There's people that really pay attention to the lyrics, and that means a lot, and you need to have the lyrics. And some people that just the singer is another instrument in the band, and
Yeah.
they don't. I'm the latter. Even though I was a singer, I wrote lyrics. I hated it. I hated writing lyrics. Till now, I'll hear songs, and like Renee will be singing along with them, and I was like, oh, that's I've heard the song for. We have a song, Voices Carry. That's kind of like, we joke that that's our song because we were driving up north somewhere, and that song came on, and she was singing the chorus. And I was like, I did not know that's what those words were. But So she's definitely a lyric person. I'm not. She couldn't tell you who sings what or anything like that. I'm better at that. I know who sings what the song title is most of the time,
Yeah.
but lyrics, not a clue, which is
I am a
weird.
super lyrics hound. Like the lyrics have always been like a really important part of music to me. I'm like, oh, this song, like the lyrics, it speaks to me. Like I used to always say that uh Postal Service, that I was like, "I hate Ben Gibbard, but I think that he wrote some of the most romantic lyrics ever," and it was, "I am thinking it's a sign that the speckles in our eyes are mirror images, and when we kiss, they're perfectly aligned." Like, I always
Mhm.
thought that that was, like, one of the most romantic lyrics ever written. I'm like, "I wanna find that person." Like,
Right.
that I wanna find that person.
Yeah.
And, and then, and now, like, starting to write lyrics of my own, and then I feel like, "Oh my god," like, I'm not a songwriter, but then I also didn't think I used to be a musician either, and, uh
Do you struggle writing lyrics?
alone, yes.
Yeah.
But now Ben and I are working together and we've sat down and written a couple of songs together and we're currently working on one that we wrote together and it just and I'm like, "Oh, hey, wait, I can do this. Like this is good. Like that's my line. I wrote that line." Like cuz we were
Yeah.
kind of like feeding off of each other. And I think that if I'm writing with somebody else, it's way better for me. Writing on my own, I get way too in my head about it and then it starts sounding like bad teen poetry.
Yeah. I've only really only written my on my own. I tried writing lyrics with somebody else, Derek, and I did not like that process whatsoever. I didn't like it. Um, I don't know if it's a ego thing. I don't like it. It probably is an ego thing because I don't like being questioned about what I want to sing or what I want to write.
Yeah.
And if I'm the one singing it, I want to be the one with the the approval stamp. And if I don't do it, if I don't like it, then or if I do like it and someone says I don't really like that, I don't care. I want to do it. I want to do what I want to do.
You're like,
So it's totally an ego thing on my part, I think. Unless I just haven't found Derek and I like musically we were good.
yeah.
Writing. Well, he was a way better musician than I was, and he taught me a lot when we were younger. But lyrically, I guess I just have to find the right person to do it with. But like I said, he's really the only person I've ever tried to actively like from scratch write a song with lyrically, and I didn't enjoy that process much. So
Yeah, I was definitely intimidated, mostly because Ben is such a great songwriter. Like he writes these like really tight harmonies. Whereas like I know that if I was, like if I was writing my own harmony to, up against what he was singing, mine would be way different. But he
right.
writes them and they're so tight and like I found it really challenging sometimes and been like, "Oh, my voice just isn't gonna do that." Like my voice just like naturally does not wanna go there, and even like when I'm trying to, then like I'm just I can't find it. Um, and so we've had to rework like a couple of things on harmony, but it's
How
there's
did how does he
again,
find
there's that
harmony? Does he find
respect
it on a
there.
keyboard or something like that? How does he find his harmonies to for you to sing?
I don't even know. I swear I think they're like just in his head. Like
Is he a pitch
he
perfect guy? Does he know?
Yep.
Can he tell you what note someone's playing just by hearing it?
Yep.
For those people irritate me. I want to be that, but I'm not.
I know, right? I like when they're like, "Hey, this one's in like G," and I'm like, "Cool, can you hum it for me? Because
Right?
I don't fucking know."
Yeah, I'm totally self-taught. I don't know how to read music. Well, I did when I was in school band. You never did school band, did you?
I
Or
did
did
not
you?
do school band. I played the French horn in 5th grade, and I didn't know how to read music, so I just watched the kid next to me and
Yeah.
just watched what their fingers did.
Yeah. Yeah, I was banned until first half of 8th grade year, then because Othello was really big in school band, like everybody did school band, then moved over to the valley and a select few did school band and they weren't necessarily my friend group. So I lasted half a year in 8th grade, then I stopped. But I was usually first chair. I had something in me that was musical that it was easy for me to figure out. But once I got to guitar, that doesn't really transfer. Trumpet, because I was a trumpet player, trumpet to guitar doesn't really transfer. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to read. Like I don't know how to read music. Up until just recently, I kind of learned what all the chords were. I'm still been playing guitar for 35 years and just now figuring out what chords are. So
Right?
yeah,
That was something that, like, the first project that I worked with Zach Static, um, there Zach always starts every show out with, like, yelling out to his drummer. He's like, "Dewey, give me an E!" And
yeah,
it cracks me up every time. I've literally seen him do it probably, like, 100 times, and it cracks me up every time. "Dewey, give
yeah.
me an E!"
Do you have any shows coming up soon?
Yeah. We've got this next weekend. Next weekend we are doing the Roosevelt. It's like a community, like a street fair thing, up in the Roosevelt district, and it's like basically, I think it's like the Roosevelt Roundup or the Roosevelt something.
Hmm.
Um, I can send you the information, but it's up by the Kraken, which we play at the Kraken all the time. And then we've got I should have had this ready. And then I think it's the following week we've got a show either at the Kraken or Connor Burn. I don't know. Well, I guess it's hard because it's a podcast, so I can't like send you
Yeah,
the information later.
no, it's fine.
Um, but yeah, if you so here, I'll just plug us. You can follow us on Instagram at small_yards, and we are constantly updating about our upcoming shows.
You
Oh,
can
the
you
Blue
can
Moon. We're
link.
playing the Blue Moon. What?
Okay. You can link like when I post the episode, I'll tag you in it and you can link, then you can share it yourself and you can link your
Sweet,
band stuff. You have
sweet.
all that. What are your aspirations with this band? Do you just want to keep it a kind of a local low key type thing? Do you have bigger aspirations? You just take it where it takes you?
And we've discussed this. It's like none of us we're all people of a certain age, and none of us have aspirations to be doing world tours,
Hmm.
but we definitely would like to, work our way into opening up for, even, at like I just got the contact information for the booker at the Crocodile, because I met her, and we're just trying to get on as like opening for, like some great bands at the Croc, or
Yeah.
like some other venues and stuff like that, like some bigger bands, like,
Right.
like next time Shannon and the Clams rolls through, like we would love to open for them. When Detroit Cobras was coming through, I was like desperately trying to get on their bill.
Yeah.
Um, but there's definitely some folks that we would like to work up to opening up for. And who knows where it could take us, but we don't have, like any unrealistic aspirations. Mostly we just love it. We love making music. We really like working with each other, and we're really fucking proud of what we're putting out,
Good.
and having fun with it. And I think that as long as we're having fun doing that, then we'll do that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm proud of you for still doing it and getting out there and having
Thanks,
fun with
man.
everything. Yeah, it's cool.
Thanks.
I like when people that I know are still doing it, doing their art, any kind of art. It's inspiring. So,
Yeah.
we are over an hour and a half. I think we can call this one good.
All right, cool.
I appreciate you coming on. You gave a
Thanks,
little
Carl.
different flavor. It's just like you said, it's been a sausage fest ever since. Having you're the first female to do it on here.
Yay.
So I appreciate it. All right, Jen. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
I will see you. Bye.
Bye.